Hey everybody, this is your man Will H. the Cinephile, and I am back. We're back like a dinosaur story. And today I am beyond thrilled to talk about one of my most anticipated films of the year. Actually no, my most anticipated film of the year. And what made it even more special is that I got to experience this film with my cousin Millie. This was our first movie outing together, our first cinema going experience, and honestly, she should be honored. I mean, I chose her to see my most anticipated film of the year on the expansive canvas of the big screen. And that's not just some casual hangout, that's a cinematic milestone. But I have to admit, I had a tough time figuring out what would take that top spot this year. For a while, I was leaning towards Christopher Nolan's upcoming take on Homer's The Odyssey, and I'm still incredibly hyped for that film. But then I saw the trailer for 28 Years Later, and the moment I found out that Danny Boyle was back in action, I knew this was it. This was the one, my most anticipated movie of the year, until Nolan's The Odyssey hits in glorious IMAX 70mm. And just a heads up, this video will contain spoilers. And if you haven't seen this movie yet, I highly recommend clicking off now, go watch it, then come back and check out my full take. But if you have seen the film, stick around because I'm about to dive deep into my full on, no holds barred thoughts on 28 Years Later. So I walked into 28 Years Later as a grand admirer of Danny Boyle, and Slumdog Millionaire happens to sit at the top on my four favorite movies of all time. And so, experiencing a new Boyle film, particularly a continuation of the 28 Days Later universe on the big screen, wasn't just a trip to the cinemas, it was a pilgrimage, and what an experience it was. Like, this film, my most anticipated film of the year, is a dark, powerful, and ambitious piece of genre storytelling. And it's more than just a sequel. In fact, it doesn't feel like a sequel at all. Like, Boyle and Garland didn't merely resurrect a franchise, but they reinvented it. And 28 Years Later stands firmly on its own, and you don't need to have seen Days or Weeks Later to grasp the gravity of what unfolds. And that's what makes this film an exceptional feat. Like, Boyle's world is visceral, terrifying, and utterly immersive. Like, from the very first frame, I was swallowed whole. Like, there's a grime, a texture, and an unrelenting weight to this world. And Garland's writing here is razor sharp, in my opinion. And like the way he expanded the mythology in ways that feel both refreshingly original and chillingly plausible. Like, I have to say, this film surpasses its predecessors. Like, it's bigger, deeper, more emotionally resonant, and significantly more frightening. Like, the infected have evolved in ways I could never have expected. Like, their mutations are nightmarish. Their power is monstrous. Their presence is so suffocating. And then there are the slow lows. And let me be clear, I will never forget the moment that Spike, played by the breakout star Alfie Williams, first kills one of these infected. A slow low. The arrow strikes the infected's neck, but it doesn't go down. It starts writhing, rising again, shrieking in this blood curdling guttural scream, and I literally sat there paralyzed because that moment, Spike's first kill, is one of the most petrifying, perfectly constructed horror sequences I've ever seen in a theater. Like, the tension is maddening, and when another infected emerges behind him and his father, the fear amplifies, and that is horror at its purest. Man, like, I have to. Now, Alfie Williams, in his breakthrough performance, delivers one of the greatest child performances I've seen in a long, long time. He carries this film with a rawness that's rare. His character Spike is layered, vulnerable, and quietly strong, and his journey from innocence to survivalist is both believable and deeply moving. And Jodie Comer also turns in her best role. To date, she embodies a layered maternal presence. She's flawed, worn down, but full of love. And Aaron Taylor Johnson and Ray Fiennes round out a cast that is as solid as it is emotionally effective. And Fiennes' portrayal of Dr. Ian Kelson is haunting, enigmatic, and pivotal. But when I think about the first act, when Jamie, Spike's father, takes takes Spike into the mainland for the first time, is phenomenal in terms of tension. Like the slow lows, the wilderness, the desolation, all of it is beautifully horrifying. But deep down, I'll admit that I wish that sequence had more room to breathe. Like it should have been more longer, more immersive, more gradual in its pacing, like a day or two journey rather than a quick mission, because the character development of Spike, especially in those first moments of exposure to the infected world, felt slightly rushed. Like the emotional and narrative payoff was there, but it could have hit harder with more space. But still, the Causeway chase sequence with the Alpha pursuing them back to the Holy Island was one of the most intense, pulse pounding moments I've ever witnessed, despite being dissatisfied with the score for that sequence. And I remember that Alex Garland said in one of their interviews that the theme of this film is compassion, and I couldn't agree more. Like this is not just a horror movie; it's a story about a boy, his mother, and his unyielding need to understand and save her. Like the journey takes Spike with his mother into the mainland. To find the last known doctor, Ian Kelson, is gut wrenching, beautiful, and most of all tragic. Like there's also the layered mentorship of Jamie teaching Spike how to survive, how to navigate this world, and what it means to be strong. And the contrast between Jamie's tough love and Spike's tender bond with his mother is rich and powerful. And the evolution of the infected isn't just a gimmick, but it's a part of the world's terrifying new logic. Like the infected are no longer just fast and rabid. Some now crawl low, mutated into these distorted versions of themselves that are grotesque. And others have grown stronger, smarter, like the alphas, with terrifying strength. Like there's a moment where one of them rips a man's skull off like it's nothing, and I was left sitting there like, that's one strong mofo right there. But this film is unrelenting, but it's also intelligent. And Garland doesn't just want to scare us, but he wants to make you think about how humanity breaks, who we become when hope fades, and what compassion even looks like in a world like this. And and Boyle made the bold decision to shoot much of this film on iPhones, and it works to incredible effect. Like the result is raw and immediate, and Anthony Dodd Mantle's cinematography is both harrowing and very breathtaking, rendering a desolate world with visceral, almost tactile textures that lingers in my mind. While some critics have dismissed the film's editing as disorienting, I found it to be one of its most powerful assets, which is a stylistic choice that mirrors the chaos and fragmentation of the narrative with unsettling precision. Like the editing enhances the chaos, reflects the ambiguity, and underscores the emotional confusion Spike experiences. Like it's a bold, ambitious choice, and I personally loved it. Now, let's finally talk about the ending. And to tell you the brutally honest truth, I hated it at first. I sat there so dumbfounded, and I literally turned into Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons and nearly screamed, "What the hell was that?" Like the tonal shift was so jarring that it was a full on a whiplash ending. Like the arrival of the Jimmies, a cult-like clan adorned in pop culture references from Teletubbies, Power Rangers, and Jimmy Savile felt absurd. Like I literally texted my relatives that it would have been a 9 out of 10 film if it wasn't for that ridiculous ending. But then I started researching and I listened to interviews that included spoilers. I read breakdowns, I dove into the symbolisms, and it turns out that the Jimmies aren't just absurd caricatures. They're a grim mirror of post-apocalyptic humans that are clinging to remnants of a broken culture, to icons who hadn't yet been publicly condemned in that timeline. They're what's left when hope is gone and delusion is all that's left. In that context, the ending becomes haunting in a way. Is it misguided? Maybe, but not hollow. Even so, I still think it could have landed better. But now I'm intrigued. I want to watch the film again with that lens. Because sometimes even a jarring ending can have a meaning that only time can reveal. But all in all, I'm nervous, excited, and I'm deeply reluctant about where 28 years later, part 2, the Bone Temple, will go. Like, it's tough seeing Danny pass the directing baton, but I also trust Nia DaCosta. Like, she's an incredibly intelligent visual storyteller. And with Garland still writing, there is hope. I just hope they carry the emotional core, the compassion, and the intensity forward because 28 years later isn't just a Boyle and Garland's best collaboration. It's also one of the most brutal, controversial, and emotionally charged horror films of the decade. And deep down in my heart, 28 years later is everything I wanted and more. And also, I never saw coming. Like, it's thrilling, emotional, uncomfortable, ambiguous, and deeply compassionate. The slow lows will haunt me forever, and Spike's journey will stay with me. And the ending, ridiculous as it seemed, has sunk its claws into my brain. And I just can't wait to see the film again. So, overall, I give this film an 8 out of 10. It may be a 9 when I revisit it, but I hope you all enjoyed this video and make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and also follow my letterbox. And until we meet again.